Hello, everybody. Mladen here from Lots of Music, and I'm sitting here today with Mr. John Boegehold from Pattern Seeking Animals. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
It's great to have you here. We have a lot of exciting things to talk about, so let's get right to it. So we
Okay.
want to talk about the sixth album by Pattern Seeking Animals,
Okay.
Grimalkin,
Right.
out on Giant Electric Pea, August 21st. Um, First thing I wanted
Yes.
to ask you relates more to the name of the album than to the music itself. I've been curious about this like 16th century term for a gray cat, from what I can gather, and I've been wondering how it comes into play with the songs themselves or the lyrical content of the record.
It doesn't, I generally don't tend to name albums after songs or include it. I just usually try and find just a cool title which people will remember and no
Right.
one else is using. So because I write so many lyrics and stuff, I have a running list of got like 150 Word document pages, single space of lyric ideas, band names, song titles,
Right.
album titles. And when it comes to doing an album, I just start going through it and think, oh, that'll make a good title. That'll make a good title. And I remember reading about Grimalkin. It was from from Shakespeare, and it meant a cat, which is like a sidekick or a helper for a witch or witch's coven. I
Oh,
thought,
that's
well, that's
fascinating.
interesting. And so I just kept it. And when I was going for the album name, I looked at it, and the first thing you do is you check, make sure no one else is using it for something. And
Right.
I
You
thought,
Google
well,
it right
this,
away.
yeah, right away. And no one was. And it's like perfect because one of the really annoying things about doing an album is trying to come up with a well, first of all, band names are always tough, and then album
Oh,
names
yeah.
are tough too. So once you nail it down, it's like, whew, good. That's off the. I don't have to think about that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and from there, once I had that and the gray cat or the evil cat or whatever it is, then I started looking for artwork for the cover, which I thought matched the name. And I always have followed hundreds of artists on Instagram, so I just start going through them. And the minute I saw the artwork we used for the cover, it just clicked with me. And perfect. So I contact the artist and license the artwork. So
You
yeah, it
knew
turned out really
instantly,
well.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was no doubt, no doubt.
That's fascinating with the names because it's always infuriating, even for a music fan, to have like three different bands under the same name.
Oh yeah.
And it's similar with album titles as well.
Oh yeah, right. So I just you have to make sure. I mean, if there's a couple of them, throughout the years, because there's what millions and millions of album titles, and maybe someone's used it, but as long as I can get it so it's unique or something which has rarely been used, I'm good with it.
Right.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the record label. So this is the second record being released on Giant Electric Pea. I've been curious
Yes.
about the working relationship with the label and how you've been satisfied so far.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, Mike and Ann, everyone's great. It's a small label, obviously, but they do a great job. They're super responsive, and the thing I like about the label is that, well, in fact, the last Inside Out was the same way. There's no suggestions or trying to get into what that album should be or whatever, because
Creative
like in
input,
the
right?
old, yeah, there's just nothing there. Um, which is, because in the past, and if you get with a bigger label or whatever, you'll turn in all your music and they'll say, well, yeah, these songs are good. This one, we need another down tempo song. We need a
Right.
longer one. We need a ballad, whatever, which is super annoying. I just turn the record in and they put it out and they're happy. It's I say, well, it's ready. When can we put it out? They give us a date. Then I'll say, okay, the singles come out then. Cool. And they work with it and they're super, super easy to work with. So it's great. It's
Yeah,
great.
that's the amount of trust you want from your record label, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because after we left Inside Out, um, actually Thomas Waber, who runs Inside Out, is
Yes.
also part of GEP. And after we decided we weren't going to do Inside Out, Thomas said, "Well, you should check out GEP." Cool. And I also checked out a few other labels at the time, and I got on a Zoom call with Mike, and we hit it off. I just thought, perfect. I'm good. Let's do it. So yeah, it's worked out great. I'm really happy.
Wonderful. I wanted to talk to you about songwriting. A couple of things that are interesting to me. First of all, this sort of goes back to the beginning of Pattern Seeking Animals, but also relates to the new album, because you've also been involved with Spock's Beard as well. You've written a lot for Spock's
Yeah,
Beard, and Ted
yeah,
obviously sings for Spock's Beard like 15
yeah,
years now. Is
yeah,
there
yeah.
a because I do feel like pattern-seeking animals have their own thing. Is there a conscious effort to make it different to, Spock's beard, or you just being yourself, and if it sounds like Spock's beard, it sounds like Spock's beard?
No, it's kind of the opposite. I stopped working with them after their Noise Floor album, so before Pattern Seeking
Right.
Animals started. And to me, what you're hearing is the way I see music, the way it should be. But when I was with Spock's Beard, I was tailoring when I was writing for them or with them to the people in the band and the type of thing. Because
Oh, that's true.
I would write something and think, well, yeah, I'm playing this on keyboards, but Rio would never play that. So we need to move it towards something he would do, or the guitars. So it was more with Spock's was tailoring or moving it toward the direction of something they would play or feel comfortable. Nothing, in Pattern Seeking Animals, if I'm writing something and I want it to go into a bluegrass, bridge or something.
You're more than allowed to do that. Right.
I'm absolutely, and I love that stuff. But with Spock's Beard, I would just think, no, there's no way they're going to do this, even though I think it would be really cool. That's the thing. But I think that's the case anytime you're writing for another group or person that's not you. You just take into account the artist's, their vibe and then what they want to do.
Yeah, their respective styles and influences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that intrigues me is the basically the balance between like the expected prog rock epicness and then certain songs that are, catchy, snappy, to the point. Is that also a conscious effort, or?
No, I don't start out like when I'm doing an album. I don't sit there and think, okay, I'm going to do a prog epic. I'm going to do something which is 20 minutes long, then I'll do this. I just start coming up with material, and because I like so much stuff, there's kind of a natural. There's a couple songs which are obvious. I don't want to say they're pop, but they're more, shorter structure, to the point songs on the album. Then there's some which go more out there. I just want good songs, and cool songs in there, whether they fit the, quote unquote prog market or whatever, as long as it's good. Because I just figure if I like it, because I like all the prog groups, I like all the
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I figure that if I like what I'm doing, well, maybe the other people like it as well. So yeah, no effort at that whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah, I think sometimes prog artists dig themselves a little hole because they'll start. Well, we got to be prog, and we have to do a song which is 22 minutes long, and we have to do this, and we can't do something in 4/4 and whatever. I think you can kind of pinch and hole yourself. Just do good music. So
there's still a lot of diversity within the genre. It's like I find it really interesting that there are certain bands that are always interested in writing long form compositions, and then, for example, nowadays in progressive metal, for example, there are certain bands that like to deliver like 4 to 5 minute songs, but still be really, really complex. And then to have both is very, stimulating on the ears, to have both the epic side and then concise, like, 3 to 4 minute songs.
Yeah, and also I like a lot of the newer, the prog metal stuff where they integrate, like Celtic instruments or just different instrumentation that you would normally hear in metal. So there's a lot of bands, especially European, Norwegian bands and stuff like that, do stuff like that, which I always think is really cool. Yeah, they take a lot of them take a lot of I don't want to say chances, but they go into left field you wouldn't expect from a metal band, which I always think is cool.
Yeah. It also makes for more of an entertaining listen.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Another question that relates to Spock's Beard to an extent, because you have redone several songs over the years, like Bulletproof and No One Ever Died and Made Me King. Those songs were initially released either as B-sides or, bonus tracks. So how do you come up with a decision like, okay, this particular song maybe could be redone and put out as a Pattern Seeking Animal song?
Well, yeah, and the other one from the last album was
Days Will Remember.
Days Will Remember.
Fantastic.
Here's my feeling about that. When it's a bonus track, like right now, as a fan, just as a music fan in general, I hate the idea of bonus tracks. Because realistically, if I get an album and there's a bonus disc, I might listen to the bonus side once.
Oh yeah.
And that's it. If you go on Spotify right now, like Days Will Remember, for example, if you go on, that was on the bonus disc to, I guess, Noise Floor. If you go into Noise Floor, all the songs in the main album on Noise Floor will have like 700,000, 500,000 listens. And you go to the bonus track, it's like 2,000. So no one ever hears that stuff. So my feeling was, if it was something on the main album, I wouldn't have redone it. but those three, No One Ever Died and Made Me King, was never really, it was a bonus track, and it's something Dave and I wrote a long time ago. And then, which turned out really good. But then Bulletproof and Days Will Remember, I was not really happy with the way they turned out anyway, besides being relegated to the bonus disc. So I figured, what the hell? I'm just going to redo it the way I really want it to be done and go from there. So yeah, it's not really a question of, should or shouldn't I do it? I'm just looking for good songs. And I'm sure some people think, well, why is he doing that? But reality is most fans have never heard these songs. Or if they have, it's like once or something. So
I'm sort of with you on the whole concept, bonus discs and maybe even EPs to an extent. That can also be kind of tricky.
Yeah, it's tricky. And in the digital realm, like if I'm listening to a band and they put out an album and it's whatever, let's say Flower Kings, for example.
Right.
They put out an album, then 6 months later they release a single or an EP. It's kind of like, well, what do I do with this? It's a cool song, but if I'm going to go listen to an album, or it'll end up on shuffle with a bunch of other songs. I mean, I understand why people do it, especially if you don't put out an album. If you're only putting out an album for bands like every 4 or 5 years, to every once in a while release something like a live cut or an alternate version or stuff like that.
Right.
I get that, but again, I just tend to look at it as a fan, and that's something I'm not crazy about. I just don't.
I'm absolutely with you. Yeah.
Yeah, albums are already too long, and then by the time you start adding on, extended, you look at an album. If you go on, if you're buying an album on like iTunes or whatever, I just do all digital. So say I'm buying an album, there's 2 versions. One is the album with 12 songs, and there's an album with the 18-song extended version. I'll never go with that. It's just, I just want the album. I want a concise album, the way the band originally heard it, and to be put out there.
Right. It makes perfect sense. It's like bands sometimes release an EP and they're like 4 songs. Sometimes I wish like they did another 4 and made a full record out of it.
Right. Yeah, and you look at like you look back in the day, Genesis used to do that. They do an album and then they put out an EP like Spot the Pigeon. There were great songs on it, but it doesn't really fit anywhere. You don't pull the EP out. Well, maybe I don't anyway, to listen to it. And when the songs come up, it's like, oh, that's cool. Why wasn't this on Wind and Wuthering, or why wasn't this on whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Why didn't it make it on a certain album, right?
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, maybe that would also be a cool question for like maybe if Ted or Dave would chime in. I imagine when you send out demos, because from what I've read, a lot of the music that you write is already detailed and well crafted when it's demoed. When you receive a feedback from, say, Ted, does he find it perhaps difficult to sink his teeth into it, or has it become intuitive over the years for them to basically get the ideas that you're trying to put across?
Well, Dave, not so much, the bass and the drums, because by the time I have a song, it's not really demos per se, because the tracks I'm working on become the actual song. And then everyone just adds their stuff to it. Yeah. So I'll build it up, and then once I have the structure done, I'll get together with Jimmy and we'll go to the studio and record the drums on those tracks. Then I send them to Dave, and Dave adds his parts, and by the time everyone adds their parts, that ends up being the song. For drums, for example, I'll on the basic track, I'll put a scratch drum part, a basic thing of the kind of the groove. But from there, I don't try and tell him what to do. Here's the feel. Go for whatever you think is cool. Dave, Dave, the bass part, I'll write most of the bass part, but there's always sections in these songs where I'll say, okay, here's this 45 seconds here. I need to just do something cool. Here's, whatever. And
like
and
a bass line or something, yeah.
Yeah, and Dave several times will say, I'll start sending out the songs before that happens, and sometimes Dave or Ted will say, this is really cool, but wouldn't it be cooler if you went to this section instead of this section? And good idea. So it'll move things around before they actually record. Ted will sometimes. I usually check songs with him for the key of his voice. I pretty much know where his sweet spot is now.
Yeah.
But some songs I'll send him a very early version and say, "What do you think? I think I want this one to be a lower register. What do you think?" He goes, "Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Drop down a minor third or whatever." Okay, cool. Then we'll go from there. And obviously, if I send something for Ted to sing, he gets to hear my crappy voice, doing the scratch vocal, and then he'll always, I always tell him, if you want to do something different here, go ahead. Or he'll sometimes text me and say, this section I think it should be an octave down, or this section I'd like to add. Great, whatever you think is cool. Add harmonies, whatever you want to do. The last thing I want to do is, be completely intense. So you have to do this exactly the way I see it. Because they're all such good players, and it's just, same thing with guitar with Ted. It's like, okay, here's 16 bars, do a solo here. Here's, I just tell them where. So.
Oh yeah. So speaking of solos, it's like towards the end of Flower Yet to Grow, there's this, frenetic guitar solo, and I can really imagine him getting, a kick out of it once you send out the tracks, and it's like a perfect spot for a guitar solo. That's like Fast and Furious.
Fact, yeah, I really love that solo he does. But also in the middle, there's a slide guitar solo, which goes into the bridge.
Oh, that's right.
And originally, he sent me the version with the solo, and that solo is underneath the vocals. But I thought, wow, this is such a cool solo. I don't want it to be the vocals over. So I put the 16 or whatever 32 bars in front of the vocals, move the solo there, so now it starts with that solo is out by itself. Right. It's so cool, that slide, almost like David Gilmour slide guitar, which is really cool. So yeah.
I'm so happy that you said it, because I also got a sort of Pink Floyd vibe from that particular section.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with the big reverb and the slide guitar, and yeah, no doubt. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the like potential plans for taking out pattern-seeking animals on the road. I know you do not tour, but do you have any info? Is that something that's being talked about? Is Ted into it?
Well, I think the guys would be into it. And again, you're right. I don't play in a live band. The problem is, being a prog band these days, and especially being a prog band in America, it's financially and logistically, it's real tough. Sometimes we've done a few things like the Cruise to the Edge and Prog Stock a couple times, and
festivals,
which was great. But just the logistics of getting the band together to rehearse, because we're all in different parts of the country. I'm in Southern California, Dave's in Northern California, Ted's in New York. So just right there, and I every once in a while we'll get an offer, and I wouldn't mind going a little bit out of pocket to try and make it work, because it's good to be out there and promoting. But a lot of these times, besides the logistics, especially in Europe, of visas, and by the time you pay for flights and hotels, it would just be a giant money suck. It's like, we were offered one festival last year in Europe. When I looked at it, it would have cost an extra, like, I don't know, it would be the entire budget for it would be the entire budget for another album. So it's like, I don't get the point. So boy, if something comes up, we'd love to do it if something makes sense, but it's rough right now. But I'll say, I've mentioned this before to other people, like I get, the Prog magazine every month, and you look in the back there with all the live reviews, and it's all in England mostly, and there's pages after pages of local clubs with prog groups playing. And it's like, damn, if I lived in the UK or we were there,
right,
just, book a gig at a local club and just rehearse in the basement, go over there and play, and it wouldn't be this giant
you could do like 2 weeks worth of club shows in the UK.
Yeah, and if it didn't make a lot of money, it doesn't care, because we're just driving from our house over down the road to the club, and just hang out and play. But it's just not. It's a multifaceted thing, trying to get a prog group thing together. So
yeah, that's how it is these days, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure, perfect enough to have like 6 albums worth of material within 6 or 7 years. It's like
oh yeah.
When you're not touring, you can at least pump out records.
Yeah, I write continually. I'm just always writing.
That's what I was also curious about, because I remember by the time the 5th album was released, like Friends of All Creatures, and there was already talk about, Jimmy recording drums for the 6th album.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I have, in fact, right before I came on with you, I was back at my studio working on one of the songs for the next album.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going with this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not quite ready to have Jimmy do drums on him yet. Usually what I like to do with an album, at least half of the album I want to have done, then we'll go to the drum studio have time in a day to lay down all the drum parts. But I haven't reached the point yet where I have enough to get with him and do it. But in the next couple months, I'll have that together, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was wondering, and what I was guessing as well. So it's nice to have a confirmation that there's still more music to come.
Oh, I write all the time. Even if I didn't have a record deal or a band, I'd be writing music just because I just love doing it so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's wrap things up with this question. This is usually an entertaining question for the viewers.
Okay.
When you play the new record, is there a particular song that really draws you and that makes you think, oh, we really nailed it with this one?
It's funny because sometimes I go back and listen to. I don't listen to the albums too much unless I have to listen to get something for live or for a specific reason. And sometimes I'll go back and listen to an earlier album after not hearing it for a couple of years, and I'll think, this song shouldn't have even been on the album. This one just sucks. Why did I even, because you go back and when you're in the moment, it seems cool, but in retrospect, you think, I'm not great about this. For this album, I'm really happy with all the songs, the way they turned out. I would think, because the guys nailed it. So I'm always happy because it's an interesting question, because if I don't think the song's been nailed, I won't mix it. I won't put it on the album. That's the thing. And we've had a couple songs. For example, there's a song on the new album, I Dream the World, which I'm really happy the way it turned out.
Yeah.
This is about the fourth version of that song. I originally wrote it around the time of the first album, and it was not the right tempo. It wasn't, so we didn't do anything. Then I came back a couple of albums later, tried it again. New recording didn't work out, and finally for the last album, we were going to do it on Friend of All Creatures, but there's just no space left. So I moved it over to this album, but I'm really happy with the way that one turned out. Yeah. As I am with everything on the album, but that's one of those ones, you try several times, and if it doesn't work out, who knows? Maybe I'll go back and, in a couple of years and listen to this album and go, ugh, I Dream the World. Wow, that's bad. Or whatever, not bad, but, it's like, I could have done this differently.
Right. So, that's the odd thing with looking back and having a different perspective on music. But I wouldn't be worried about that particular song. It makes for a great closer. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's interesting because usually closers with Prog, a lot of times the tendency is to go with some big epic long slow fade out with a giant guitar solo and the fade out
triumphant, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which believe me, I'm guilty of that, and that can be very cool. And I've done it on several of the albums. But this one, I Dream the World, just seemed like the right way to end the album to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we're pretty much done. Let's just get the word out one more time. I mean, there's already so much excitement about this, but once again, Grimalkin is out August 21st on Giant Electric Pea. So basically, buy it, stream it, incorporate it into your life.
Buy it, stream it. Yeah, and you can go you go to our website, psanimals1.com, or Facebook, or we're all under PS Animals 1, the number 1. There's a username everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And if you order the album through us, through the Bandwagon, you get a nifty signed 5x7 card by all the guys exclusively if you buy right through us.
Wonderful.
But it will be available everywhere, through GEP, all the usual, all the Amazon, whatever. It'll be available everywhere.
Excellent. Well, John, once again, thank you very much for doing the interview. I had a wonderful chat with you. And for everybody watching, thank you for watching, and we will see you around.